This June 12th marked the third anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando. We were stunned and horrified at the number of lives lost that night at the hand of one shooter as patrons tried to escape or hide in bathrooms. Among the 49 killed was a young man named Jerry Wright. You can only imagine how heartbreaking this has been for his family. His mother, Maria Jose, has turned her sadness into action and is now on a mission to make sure another parent doesn't have to experience the loss of a child due to gun violence. As a volunteer for the national grassroots organization called Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, Maria Jose, or MJ, is working side by side with others, fighting for new public safety measures and common sense gun laws. Joining me now to share more is MJ Wright and Michelle Schindel, incoming legislative lead for the organization. Ladies, thank you both so much for being here to talk about this today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for the opportunity of honoring Jerry.
Absolutely. And let's begin by talking about your son. Tell us about Jerry. And we saw a few pictures of him.
Jerry was a sweet, goofy, nice person. He was 31 years old. He worked for Disney on Main Street. He loved working there. He loved the fact that he could make people smile, and that was him. He was the kind of kid that when he came home to visit would make sure I had water in my nightstand and would make the bed for me, because he was that kind of a guy. He had a neighbor who was 80 years old, and he would go by every other day to have a little glass of wine with her. Oh. And she wrote me a beautiful letter afterwards, said, I know he was just checking on me, but few young people especially would take the time to do that. And Jerry was one of those really genuinely nice guys.
How old was Jerry when he passed?
31.
Wow.
31. And I'm grateful to God that I had him for 31 years.
I imagine.
But I sure miss him. Oh, and you think it might get easier after 3 years, but it seems like it's actually getting harder. It's like I keep holding my breath, and I think maybe I hold it long enough, he'll come back. It's just a nightmare. And now, you begin to accept the fact that no, it's not. This is real. He's not coming back. And it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard on my husband. It's hard on my son and daughter. And I especially heard about the fact that my 2 grandchildren will never get to meet him. They know him just as Uncle Jerry from the photo.
Yeah.
And he was so much more than that.
So this gun violence has a ripple effect. It affects families. It affects the community. Michelle, I want to turn to you. Let's talk about this organization that now MJ has gotten involved in, and so many other moms have gotten involved in because of gun violence. Moms Demand Action. Tell us about this organization and how it got started and what it does.
Okay, I've heard MJ say this story a few times, and every time it just makes me think that we don't have to live like this, and our children don't have to die like this. And that's how Moms Demand Action began. So a mother of 5 was at home folding laundry, listening to Sandy Hook, where 5 and 6-year-olds were slaughtered, and along with 6 of their teachers. And she got online to say, oh, maybe there's some organization like Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Mm-hmm. Let's see what's going on and try to have this conversation, because we have to get off the sidelines. This can't keep happening. And she had 75 Facebook friends at the time, and what started off as an online conversation ended up, being a nationwide movement of 5 million supporters. We have chapters in every state. In Florida, we have, I believe, 30 groups mm-hmm. that are involved. And moms are on the forefront, because whenever there's an issue with our children, mm-hmm. Whether it's child labor laws or suffrage or anything else, we're out there.
We care.
Wanting to do something.
Because we want to protect our families, and that is the main thing. We're nonpartisan. We're made up of all kinds of Americans that think we can do more to protect our families, our children. 100 Americans a day on average die from gun violence in the United States. All of us in all sorts of communities are being affected. And there is so much more that we could do when we're not doing it.
So talk about what this organization is doing.
Well, we want to promote the culture of responsible gun ownership. We want to find ways to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. Suicide is a huge issue because 2/3 of our gun deaths are by suicide. So sometimes the easy access to guns promotes that. We need to, what we're trying to do is get laws passed that we can all agree.
Right.
Background checks for all gun sales, for instance. Over 90% of Americans agree this makes sense. 80% of gun owners agree this makes sense.
And let's talk about that, because one of the things that the organization says that they're for common sense gun laws. We hear that term, common sense. So, Michelle, talk to us about what is a common sense gun law that majority of Americans say we support this. And we talk majority, we're talking about people who are gun owners, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really believe that most gun owners are responsible gun owners, but like she said, 80% of gun owners agree with universal background checks on all gun sales, closing the loopholes, stronger laws against people who have been charged with domestic violence, and closing what they call the boyfriend loop. Also, safe storage laws, passing more safe storage laws and enforcing them. Also, red flag laws, which are laws that allow family members who are really on the front line of someone who might be struggling, and police officers to come together and remove guns, take away guns for a temporary period of time until an assessment can be made for people who are a danger to themselves or to others. So those kind of common sense things, basic things, the vast majority of people agree with it, but it's not the law.
For instance, last year, Senator Lindsey Graham introduced an extreme risk protection order, or a red flag law, what Michelle just talked about, where guns can be removed under a judge gives the order, and the guns are removed from a person who appears to be a threat to himself or to others. That would have stopped Parkland, for instance. Lindsey Graham is a known Republican. This is not what we call a party issue. It's a public health issue.
Well, and let's discuss that as well, that some people who are gun owners or for the Second Amendment, gun rights, might hear about your organization and automatically decide, oh, this is an anti-gun organization.
Absolutely not.
And you're saying, no, that's not the case.
No, in fact, we support the Second Amendment and we assume you have a gun. We are not anti-gun, we're pro-gun safety, common sense rules. So, for example, in the United States, we have, just for children, we have 4.5 million kids who live in a home with an unsecured and loaded gun. We have 25 times the murder rate. One of the reasons that we have an issue with the arming teachers in Florida is because we have both pragmatic and evidence-based objections to it. So from an evidence-based perspective, we know that simple access to a gun increases the rate of homicide by 2 times and triples the rate of suicide. So there's no reason for us to believe that all that data that we have wouldn't be applicable in schools as well. We also have experience with other states arming teachers. So, for example, we know that teachers are human. They leave their guns on top of a sink. They leave their guns on the back of a toilet. They leave their guns on the floor of the bleachers. We know that sometimes guns go off unintentionally.
But the Florida legislature approved this. I mean, this is something, too, that the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Public Safety Commission approved. The dissenting vote on that was Max Schachter, who's one of the Parkland fathers who lost his son, and he said that he was against it for the very reasons that you are suggesting. He says research has shown that teachers forget and leave the guns in certain places, and that it shouldn't be a teacher's responsibility. But having said that, and knowing that that has passed, and you're the legislative lead now for moms, is that something that, how do you progress from that?
Well, I think we're going, we sort of lost that argument forward. So we are going district by district by district, and asking each district to either file a resolution saying that they will not have teachers being armed, and that has happened. So, for example, in Palm Beach, Broward, Miami.
Miami was voting on it yesterday. I'm not sure what the result was, but the Guardians lets districts opt in or opt out,
right.
and Miami-Dade County opted out.
Right. And Alberto Carvalho, the school superintendent, has been very vocal from the very beginning about being opposed to arming
because
teachers.
It's just it's not doesn't make sense on a number of for a number of reasons, practical reasons. We're concerned from the legislative standpoint that it also makes more questions than it answers. For instance, it doesn't tell a teacher what are they supposed to do. Are they supposed to stay in the room, make sure the children are hidden and quiet, which we know saves lives? Or are they supposed to go out after the shooter? And would they be criminally liable if they stay with their children, or if they go after the shooter and then the shooter comes into the room and hurts the children? Would they be criminally liable for that?
One of the biggest objections is by the police, because it's not a reliable system. So it's individuated by each sheriff makes a decision. So 144 hours of training is what a guardian's required, compared to police officers that have an average of 800 hours per year for training. And only 8 of those hours are active shooter training for the guardians. So what we're asking is undertrained teachers to act with deadly force in a closed
high-stress situation.
You know, alarms are going off, children
right.
are running, there's announcements being made, police are knocking on doors. And from a liability perspective.
Yeah, right. And law enforcement doesn't always know who's armed.
Exactly.
We have run out of time.
Okay.
Thank you so very much. Last comment, what would you like to say,
Well,
MJ?
I would just like to ask people to join us. It's easy, and we even if you don't have too much time, you can make some phone calls, you can write some emails, and if you want to join us, it's real easy. You just have to text 64433.
We're going to put all that information out there, and I know you wanted to give a shout out to Romania Dukes, who's
Yes.
with Mothers Fighting for Justice, and
Yes.
she's also doing a lot of great work as well.
Like a lot of the mothers are.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate you being here and all this information, and thank you for sharing Jerry with us today. And to learn more about Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, visit momsdemandaction.org. We'll also have this link on our Facebook page at Your South FL. And to try to give viewers a better understanding of the impact of gun violence and the perseverance of other mothers out there like MJ who have lost a child to gun violence, be sure to watch our 360 video of Mothers Fighting for Justice. We just mentioned them, the South Dade support group helping local moms who've lost a child to gun violence. It is posted right now on our Facebook page at Your South FL.